Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us on this summer Sunday. Welcome to our online spiritual gathering. Whatever your age or stage, gender identity or sexual orientation, however it is that you name your deepest hunger, whatever grief or joy you are carrying in this moment, whatever enchantment or despair, whatever fears or longings you hold in this day, we hope that as we sing and pray and meditate and reflect and seek wisdom and hold stillness with one another, we will each find what it is we need to make our way in this time. We're continuing our summer series today, exploring windows to wonder, pondering everyday sacraments. Last week we took time to smell the roses, to spend time learning from the flowers. And today our heads are in the clouds where our spirits seek wisdom from these great teachers that float above us. Joining me in this space to welcome you today is Deb, who is giving the piano a voice to sing, Catherine, who is playing bass, Dawn on violin, Jeff and Janice are leading us in song, Dara and Andrea are providing technical support to us in the sound booth and the video booth. My teammate Christopher will return to us next week at our spiritual gathering after a bit of a summer vacation time. As an immigrant settler, I invite you to pause with me and consider the land where you find yourself, to honor the long story of its formation, its first peoples, those who were first to learn the wisdom of the land we call home. I invite us to pause and give thanks for the soil that opens to feed us, the trees that breathe with us, the clouds that open to quench our thirst, the tides that keep time, the mountains that rise in beauty from their long conversation with wind and ice and upheaval. We acknowledge that those of us in Edmonton and Saskatoon, as part of the SSUC communities in these cities, live in Treaty 6 territory, traditional lands of Cree and Métis people, traveling route and gathering route for so many other First Nations. And together with each of you, in treaty lands, in unceded territories, we join as partners with the Indigenous of this land in a journey toward healing and reconciliation to a more equitable future with one another. We take a moment, as we do each time we gather, to light our candle. I invite you to find a candle in your home that you can light with me as we create and set aside this time and space with one another. We light our candles to remind ourselves of the long story of light, to honor the light of a new day, to put ourselves in the way of beauty and light, to bring the flame of our longings for a more equitable and compassionate world, seeking to reflect the light of love in our thoughts and in our words and in our actions. With a melody that's been sung by freedom-seeking people, by those enslaved by colonialism and racism, those who long to be seen as fully human. With its familiar tune, we invite one another into this time where we give ourselves to strengthen the muscle of hope and the muscle of our commitment. I want to share a story offering the gift, the wisdom we find in children's literature. This is a story about a very small cloud who looks high and low for a new way to do some very big things. And on her journey, she discovers new friends, new adventures, and her own silver lining. This is Claudette by Tom Lichtenheld. Claudette was a cloud, a very small cloud. Usually, Claudette didn't mind being smaller than the average cloud. In fact, being small had lots of advantages. Everyone called her cute little names like, "Hi, Pipsqueak," "Hey, Shortcake," "Morning, Small Fry." She had lots of friends. No matter how crowded it was, she could always find a good spot to watch the fireworks. She could sneak through very tight spaces and hide in small places. And she even had a special little space that always made her feel cozy at night. But once in a while, all the other clouds would run off and do something big and important. They'd invite her, "Come on, Claudette, join our cold front. We're going to make a huge storm. Yeah, we're going to water some crops. And we're going to make some mighty rivers flow." "No thanks," she said. "I'll watch from here." Claudette could see them in the distance, doing all sorts of important cloud things that made her want to do big and important things too. Like she wanted to make a garden grow. She wanted to make a brook babble. She wanted to make a waterfall fall. And she thought nothing would be more fun than giving kids a day off from school. One night, Claudette lay awake wondering what she could do that was big and important. She thought maybe she could work for the fire department. "Sorry, we just got a brand new pumper truck." Or maybe they needed a little help down at the garden center. "Sorry, these plants take tons of water." Nobody seemed to need her. Claudette was feeling a bit blue. The next day, a big storm was brewing in Claudette's neighborhood. The sky got dark. The rain came down like cats and dogs, and the wind blew harder than she'd ever seen wind blow before. When the storm finally stopped, Claudette realized she'd been blown from her neighborhood, a long ways from her neighborhood. And she didn't know anyone here. And they didn't seem eager to get to know her either. "Welcome to our neck of the woods, small fry. What a cute little cumulus. Have you seen our new pal?" "Barely." Pretty soon, though, she was making new friends and seeing things she'd never seen before. And then she heard something she'd never heard before. She looked down at what was supposed to be a pond, but it was really just a puddle of mud. "What happened to your pond, Froggy?" she asked. And he answered, "It's dried up, and now it's more like a puddle than a pond." This gave Claudette an idea. More like a brainstorm, actually. She held her breath until she started to puff up all over. And then she turned a nice blue-gray color. She kept growing until it looked like she was ready to burst. She shook her behind until it made a little rumbling sound, not exactly what you'd call thunder, but enough to let people know they might want to grab an umbrella. And then she did what she wanted to do forever. She let it pour. Claudette rained on that little puddle until it grew into a big puddle, and she kept raining until that big puddle grew into a perfect pond. As soon as she stopped, frogs of every stripe and spot came jumping into the pond. And then they all let out a big thank you in unison. Ribbit! Claudette was exhausted, but she'd never been happier. Even the higher-ups were impressed, which got her thinking. As they said, "Nice work, Cloudy." "Yeah, way to water." "Prodigious precipitation, Pipsqueak." "That was some righteous rain." "We knew you had it in you." So Claudette thought and began to realize that there are probably some big and important things that a little cloud can do. So off she went. To do what it is clouds were born to do. These are the words of Mary Oliver in her poem, "Last night the rain spoke to me." Last night the rain spoke to me slowly, saying, "What joy to come falling out of the brisk cloud, to be happy again in a new way on the earth." That's what it said as it dropped, smelling of iron, and vanished like a dream of the ocean into the branches and the grass below. Then it was over. The sky cleared. I was standing under a tree. The tree was a tree with happy leaves, and I was myself, and there were stars in the sky, and they were also themselves at the moment. At which moment? My right hand was holding my left hand, which was holding the tree, which was filled with stars and the soft rain. Imagine the long and wondrous journeys still to be ours. In the words of this poet, may we too find wisdom for our living.
I dreamed of rain and the rains came, soft and easy, sweet and clear. I dreamed of rain and the rains came, and peace spread over the land. I dreamed of summer and the winds changed, and the green was easy and the rivers ran clear. I dreamed of summer and the winds changed, and peace spread over the land. And the flowers bloomed in the desert, and the air is fresh and clear. I dreamed of rain and the rains came, and peace spread over the land. I dreamed of freedom and the moon rose, and the way was easy and the path was clear. I dreamed of freedom and the moon rose, and peace spread over the land. And the guardian stars are shining, and the night is bright and clear. I dreamed of rain and the rains came, and peace spread over the land. I dreamed of justice and the earth sang, and the sound was easy, the song was clear. I dreamed of justice and the earth sang, and peace spread over the land. And the ancient pain is forgotten, and the Father's debts are clear. I dreamed of justice and the earth sang. Peace spread over the land. I dreamed of rain and the rains came. I dreamed of rain and
I don't know about you, but I love to watch the clouds. I love to watch them moving over the blue canvas of the sky, thinning to wisps, or jumbling up in a new form, joining others. I love to watch them moving steadily and slowly across the sky, or rushing off somewhere like they're late for a very important date. I love those slow sky days, when clouds linger for a little while and invite us to see things that we know and name on the ground and name into their shapes. And then to watch that shape be changed and rearranged, evaporating from impersonating the object we once thought they were. Emerson was right, wasn't he? The sky is the daily bread of the eyes. And then there are other kinds of cloud watching times. When storm clouds gather, and we're waiting and watching to see what they're going to deliver, whether they're going to give us rain or snow, sleet or hail. Then there are those low cloud days, those gray, overcast skies that make us wonder how long those heavy clouds will hang over us. How long will it be before the sun breaks through and burns off the cloud and the wind carries them away? Sometimes we wish those clouds away. Sometimes we welcome them to stay to relieve us from the baking heat and bring a reprieve of shade. In the world of the ancient stories we inherit in our tradition, clouds are pretty prominent characters. And sometimes, like Claudette, they have quite a lot to say. 3 of the 4 collections of stories we have of Jesus of Nazareth give us a story of 3 of the spiritual giants of our tradition, along with a 4th character, a mysterious cloud. Here's the earliest version of the story we share as a paraphrase. You might like to read it out loud with me where you are. Jesus took Peter, James, and John and climbed with them to a place of quiet. In the solitude of their mountain experience, they perceived a change in their teacher and friend. His face shone like the sun, and his clothes became as white as light. There was a striking radiance that emanated from him. Soon there were other voices. The long-departed Moses and Elijah joined them. Peter wanted to build a dwelling for each of them. Jesus didn't know what to say to his fearful disciples. But then a cloud embraced them and spoke. Here is a beloved in your midst. Listen to him. When they looked around, they saw that they were alone with their teacher once again. So as the story goes, Jesus and 3 of his closest friends and followers made their way up a mountain for a bit of time alone. It was a critical time for all of them. The authorities were growing increasingly hostile and threatened by this radical peasant movement in the Galilee. This beloved community that Jesus encouraged and inspired empowered the most vulnerable and powerless in his society. It gave them hope and courage, but it threatened those who would have to lose some of their privilege, some of their wealth, because they would have to share it for the dream of that kingdom to become a reality. Storm clouds were gathering for Jesus and for the movement he inspired, as the political and religious leaders plotted to put an end to this potential uprising. With his friends, he goes to a high place at a low time in his life. At the intersection of mounting expectations of his friends and followers and pressures from the opposition, the storytellers give him an audience with representatives of the twin pillars of his tradition. Moses takes up residence in the story, standing in for the body of sacred teachings they knew as their Torah, the law of their tradition. And Elijah also appears, standing in for the prophetic voice in their tradition, the prophetic voice of speaking truth to power, which never ends well for any prophet. In this mystical moment, the story suggests that Jesus is receiving the counsel of two of the heroes of his tradition, receiving the wisdom of his ancients, the counsel of his elders. Peter speaks for all of us when he wants to preserve that moment somehow. Put time in a bottle. Build a monument, a dwelling for each of these leaders. Create some kind of cairn. Build a sacred refuge from the storm that's brewing below, a safe place to stay. And the story says Jesus didn't know what to say. His friends were terrified. But then the story brings a cloud to embrace them. And the cloud speaks. And the cloud says what needs to be heard. Interestingly, all three of the stories, versions of this story, are silent on any dialogue between the characters. We have to imagine what the conversation might have been with the characters Elijah and Moses. But the cloud speaks, and the storyteller lets us in on it. The cloud speaks the needed affirmation, and when the cloud is silent, as the story goes, those characters from the past, they disappear. And those facing into this moment in time are alone together. The cloud confirms the wisdom that they need for this time is with them, within them, between them, among them. And the storyteller takes Jesus and his friends from this mystical moment back down the mountain to face into the conflicts and the realities. There's no lingering on the mountain. There's no settling down into any dwelling Peter would build. Because they can no more stay than the cloud can stay where it is, can remain unchanged. You can't save a cloud like you can save a leaf or a flower or a rock. Clouds are now. Both of these visitors from the past that the story places in this moment have a lot of experience with clouds. In the story of the ancients, Moses is always looking to the sky for guidance. It was a pillar-shaped cloud that gave him a sense of direction during the day as he led the turbulent tribes through the storied wilderness from slavery to freedom. And it was a cloud of fire that gave them direction by night. If you read the epic journey of the Exodus, you'll find that Moses was often caught up in the clouds, sometimes for days on end, seeking an audience with his sky god. After one of his legendary consultations in the clouds, he came down from the mountain with a code of conduct, with clearly articulated rules for living that would keep the ancient community of Israel together and would help keep human life human. That ethical code we've called the Ten Commandments in the world of the story came out of the clouds. An ethical framework for survival with one another. And Elijah, he had plenty of weather in his life. He dealt with stormy royals, competing rituals, religions, political alliances, corrupt leadership, and Elijah was most often in the eye of the storm because he couldn't be silent in the face of injustice. And now in the world of this first century story, Jesus and his friends were instructed by their experience with the cloud. Amid the storm clouds of growing hostility, this breathtaking cloud, this momentary cloud that was and would never be again, opened a window for them. This liminal time with their head in the clouds somehow restored their courage for what was needed of them on the ground. Remember the poet's experience? Last night the rain spoke to me slowly, saying, "What joy to come falling out of the brisk cloud, to be happy again in a new way on the earth." That's what it said as it dropped, smelling of iron, and vanished like a dream of the ocean into the branches and the grass below. Then it was over. Clouds are the great teachers of impermanence. As certain as the law of gravity is the law of change, clouds remind us that nothing can defy the law of change. The particular cloud we see, the particular sky over us, is now and never again. Whether it's a dark, heavy cloud, a backlit beauty, or a gentle cotton ball wonder playing with our imagination, no cloud remains unchanged for long. It speaks now, like nothing else does. This particular moment is now and unrepeatable. It has never been before and will never be again. This particular day is one we've never seen before and will never see again. Clouds can open a window of wonder for us that will keep us from building monuments on our mountains, that will keep us from all the ways that we try to tether ourselves to a time we don't want to let go of, we don't want to leave, to the beauty of a moment that we can travel with, but never hold to. The cloud kept our storied characters from settling down with the wisdom of the past, or taking refuge in what worked for their ancestors, resisting the winds of uncertainty and change. from the strength of that mystical and unrepeatable moment, they made their way off the mountain into all that the weather in the valley held for them. That experience with the cloud prepared them for the changes and the challenges that were coming. In the beauty of these summer days, clouds can be our teachers too. Experts in change, mentors in impermanence. They companion our days and nights, teaching us to trust and entrust ourselves to life. That we will be formed and reformed and transformed. So may we this day have the courage to listen to the wisdom of the clouds. we take a moment with each other to build the muscle of intention, to offer our prayer, speaking how it is that we would wish to live, how it is we would wish to be in the world. So we strengthen our intentions with one another as we offer this our prayer, praying together. With gratitude, we embrace the gift of life, the mystery of being, and the nudge toward transformation. May we deepen our intentions to bring healing to hurt, peace to violence, beauty to ugliness, and love where there is brokenness. May we find the grace to befriend change and open ourselves to windows into wonder that invite us to see the sacredness that surrounds us. We pray as those born of love and endless light. May it be so. I have 2 invitations to share with you this morning and 2 requests for your help and support. The first invitation is for young adults and families who have children. We want to invite an opportunity for us to reconnect with one another next Sunday between 12:30 and 2:30, gathering here to enjoy the space outside our building, to have a safe outdoor gathering with one another. We invite you to bring your own picnic for yourself or for your family, to bring a lawn chair or a blanket. There'll be some activities for our children. Daisy and Ariane will be with us, an opportunity for them to renew connection with the kids of our community. Ice cream will be on offer for all of us, and there'll be a time to visit and share some conversation with one another, and in particular to talk with one another about how we might gather all ages again in the fall with each other. So a time to share our collective wisdom about the ways that we want to do that with one another. So young adults and young families, we hope to see you next Sunday at 12:30 just on the east lawn of our building. And an invitation for all of us, hosted by Brass Monkey, who has received an arts grant for community concerts around the city. We will host a concert with Bill Bourne and Paul Steffes on our lawn on Wednesday evening, July 21st, not this week, but the following week, an hour-long concert at 6 in the evening. Everyone is welcome. You are welcome to make a donation, not compelled to, but welcome to support the artists if you're able to do that. A hat will be passed at the event. And now for my 2 requests for help. Our lawn needs your help over the course of the summer. If we had teams of 3 people, there are sort of 3 separate tasks that we would welcome your help doing. We have a ride-on mower that needs an operator. We have a push mower that needs someone to walk behind it, and we have a trimmer that we would love someone to do some edging to tidy up the look of our property. So if you're able to help in any one of those capacities on a team, please contact the office at info@smsuc.com. We'd love to have your help over the rest of the summer. And our gratitude to those of you who have been able to support us financially, whether with a one-time gift or regularly. Every gift is helpful and deeply appreciated. We appreciate those of you who join us online each week and support us by being present to one another. If you're able to support us financially, you'll see on the screen some very easy ways that you can provide that support to us. As we take ourselves into this day, we go to windows of wonder that invite us in invite us to ponder the everyday sacraments we find in water, fire, mountain, in every place, because every place is sacred.
Go to the water, gather by the sea. Go to the water, hope for you and me. Go to the fire, gather in the flame. Go to the fire, life we do acclaim. Go to the mountain, gather on the hill. Go to the mountain, love is with us still. Go with the Spirit, journey to another space. Go with the Spirit, sacred in every place.
Near the end of his life, the friends of Jesus remember him saying, "You are light in the world." Near the end of his life, the friends of the Buddha remember him saying, "Make of yourselves a light." In the story of our beginnings, one of our creation narratives, creation sings a song out of which everything comes. The song, "Let there be light." We go to the water, the fire, the mountain, the field, wherever our life places us this day. We go to be light. We go to seek light. We go to reflect light, the light of compassion, of hope, of courage. And we go in the strength of who we are, alone, together.